All right, fellas. So we back, right back at it again. UFC Nashville, Sandhagen versus Font, and you already know why y'all here. We hit 500 subscribers, so thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Next up, 1,000 subs. But let's get straight into today's video. First fight we got for the night: Ode Osbourne versus Asul Almabayev. Now, this fight, I'm just gonna simply say it right away. I'm gonna pick Asul Almabayev to win this fight. His wrestling is going to be way too much for Ode Osbourne. In Ode Osbourne's most recent fight, he went against Charles Johnson, and there was too many grappling exchanges that Charles Johnson was able to get going. Although that fight was very, very close. There was a lot of grappling exchanges that Charles Johnson was able to get going. And if that was Asul Hamabayev, grappling with Ode Osbourne like that, the fight would be over. Ode really hasn't fought any grapplers, and the last time he really fought somebody that was kind of dangerous with the grappling was Brian Kelleher all the way back at UFC 246. So he hasn't fought a grappler in a while. He's gonna fight one now, and it's not gonna go his way at all. Also, Asu is very good at closing the distance. When he does fight, he's very adamant about getting the takedowns. Usually, you see some guys that they think they're strikers, they think they're what's his name? Mike Tyson. Yeah, they think they're Mike Tyson. But, this guy's very adamant about closing the distance, getting the takedowns, and controlling the fight on top positions over submissions. So I'm going to go with Asu Amabayev to win this fight. Next fight is going to be Cody Durden versus Jake Hadley. Now, this fight should play out with Cody Durden having a better wrestling, obviously, and Jake Hadley just gets taken down way too often. He's the slightly better striker on the feet. He has more weapons on the feet in terms of Jake Hadley, but the way how he's able to be just taken down and controlled on the ground, I just don't think that he's going to be able to, beat Cody Durden. And I think the fight will just be that simple. The only thing is that Jake Hadley could snatch up a submission on Cody Durden. Cody Durden has, he has been submitted before. I don't really blame him too much for the Muhammad Makayev loss. That, you can't really get too mad about that. He's talented. But, Cody Durden didn't lose to Jimmy Flick. That was 3 years ago, so it's a while back, by a flying triangle. So that was like, kind of crazy to see. And, Jake Hadley has caught somebody with a triangle before, but I just, right now, Cody Durden's on a, 3-fight win streak. So I just see him being able to be smart, control on top. If Alan Nascimento can control Jake Hadley, I definitely believe that, Cody Durden can do the same thing. But I'll be lying if I didn't say that Jake Hadley definitely is, live for a submission or to win by submission. But still, my pick for the fight is going to be Cody Durden. All right, so next up we got Jeremiah Wells versus Carlson Harris. And this fight, I'm just going to make a pick right now. I haven't looked at the other fights yet, but I just feel it in my heart. I feel like this is going to be fight of the night, but I'm going to have to go with Jeremiah Wells ever so slightly. Both guys have power. Both guys have submissions. Both guys are a bit wild. But, when I look at the striking of both guys, it just feels as if Jeremiah throws a little bit more straighter punches, still wild, but a little bit more straighter. And I think that's going to help him in this fight. But this is a very, very low confident pick, guys. Very, very low confident. These guys are, like I said, these guys are very identical. Harris does have a bit of a height advantage on him by like 2-3 inches. And he does have like a 2-inch reach advantage over him. So that could come into play if Jeremiah swings a little bit too wild. But Jeremiah is a black belt in BJJ, so I think that if he could get him to the ground, he could get some good top control in there, and he could even finish the fight by knockout. We've seen Harris get knocked out before, even though it was by Shavkat Rakhmonov. That was it was a very, very crazy knockout. I still think that Wells can repeat that. If I were to do a bet on this, guys, actually I'm gonna say that for the bet video, but let's just say this fight probably not gonna go the distance. So yeah, my pick is gonna be Jeremiah Wells, and we go on to the next one. All right, next fight we got is Kyler Phillips versus Hani Barcelos. Kyler Phillips was supposed to fight Saeed Nurmagomedov, but he pulled out. And Hani Barcelos is stepping in on short notice. And his most recent fight was against Umar Nurmagomedov, where he got literally KO'd. And the thing that's concerning about that is that Umar Nurmagomedov is like, he's a good fighter, but he's not a knockout artist. Like, he only had one knockout on his record, to that point when he knocked out Hani Barcelos. And I just think that now, Hani Barcelos is like 36 years old, 37. The way how he got knocked out, I just don't know if at that age he's going to be able to just come back as the same fighter, and especially since that he's jumping in on short notice against a guy like Kyler Phillips, great striker, super athletic, can wrestle, has submission abilities, has knockout abilities. Like, he has a full arsenal of weapons. And I'm not saying that Harney Barcelos doesn't have that too. He also does have that. Like, he's a good wrestler himself, good striker, good top control. But I just think because of the fact that this is short notice and how his last fight played out, of him getting knocked out the way how he did versus a guy like Umar Nurmagomedov, who's not known to be a knockout artist, I'm gonna have to go with Kyler Phillips. But it's not like I'm super confident. But if I had to pick, it definitely would be Kyler Phillips to win this fight. All right, the next fight we got is Billy Quarantino versus Damon Jackson. And this fight, I don't know, like, based off of the, both of these guys' last fight, they're both coming off a loss. I would say Damon Jackson just had more terrible fight IQ than Billy Quarantino did. I think Billy Quarantino just has a habit of leaning his head off his strikes to kind of get his head off the center line, but that could open him up for like knees and head kicks, which Damon Jackson might be able to do that, but I don't know. If I had to choose a result for this fight, I would just say maybe it doesn't go the distance. I feel like maybe one of these guys can get a finish, especially based off of how their last fights just went. I feel like either Damon Jackson can land a front kick or something up the middle, kind of like what he did to Pat Sabatini, or I feel like Billy Quarantino can just put the pressure on Damon Jackson and kind of just melt him, because Damon Jackson doesn't shoot when he needs to shoot. He could have shot on Danny Ige more than one time. He only did it once and pretty much just stood on the cage and just put his back to the cage. So I'm gonna slightly choose Billy Quarantino. I just think that Damon Jackson's chin is a lot weaker, and he showed some really, really poor fight IQ in his most recent fight. And I just don't see Damon Jackson really being able to precisely catch Quarantino with anything, kind of like how Edson did. I just don't see Damon being able to do that. So I'm gonna have to lean with Billy Quarantino. Very, very slight edge, low confidence pick. But as like a result for the fight, I just say the fight doesn't go the distance. I can see both guys getting a finish. Next fight we got is gonna be Ludovic Klein versus Ignacio Bahamondes, and I'm just gonna say Ignacio Bahamondes should win this fight. He's a longer fighter, rangier fighter, a lot more volume. He's an opportunistic grappler, so if you shoot on him, he will use like a guillotine choke to kind of like wrap you up to stop the takedown from happening, and he can get submissions on the ground also. And with Ludovic Klein, his volume is not high enough. The fight IQ is not the greatest, so I see the fight being just as simple as that. Ignacio being able to keep Ludovic at a distance with his strikes, and potentially get a finish. But nonetheless, Ignacio is a high volume. Ludovic Klein is not, and even if Ludovic Klein does try to take down and he gets discouraged off of it, like if he gets put in a deep submission attempt or something, he's not gonna go for for any more takedowns. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Ignacio Bahamondes to win this fight. All right, next fight we got is Alexa Kimura versus Tanner Boser. Now with this fight, obviously Tanner Boser is coming off of that KO loss to Juan Cutelaba. And Alexa hasn't fought in 2 years. He's coming off of that loss to Nikolai Negumereanu. Now, this fight is going to be a little bit interesting, but I just feel like Tanner Boser has more ways to win. Alexa has a good boxing, but his cardio is not that great, and he tends to wing shots at points. So I just don't see him being able to, and he also only has 8 professional fights and with 2 losses. So I just don't really see him being able to, come back off a 2-year layoff and then beat Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser is not really known to get finished that well. He's been durable for the most part. So seeing him get finished by Juan Cutelaba was, kind of crazy. Even the stoppage in itself, like he was working his way back up, and then as he was in a sit position right alongside the cage trying to get up, the fight just got stopped. So I don't know. I just feel like Tanner Boser will be able to win the fight. And Alexa kind of showed a little bit of a weakness where he's allows himself to get controlled on the cage. And even though if you look at Tanner Boser's history, he doesn't really have too much control time. He was fighting at heavyweight, so now that he's fighting at light heavyweight, he should be able to implement that if need be. So I'm gonna say Tanner Boser is gonna win this fight, but putting in a bet on Alexa to win the fight by round 1 KO doesn't sound like too bad of an idea. All right, next up we got Diego Lopez versus Gavin Tucker. Now, we got to see Diego Lopez fight against Mazar Ivalov on a very, very short notice at UFC 288. And he had a couple instances he hurt Ivloev on the feet at first in the in the beginning of the fight. Then he almost had a few times where he almost got a submission, armbar, leg lock, and I think that was just all about the short notice. Like it's the same thing for Mazavar too. He had to worry about Diego Lopez on a very short notice, but that's not going to be the case here for Gavin Tucker. His last fight didn't go his way 2 years ago. He got knocked out by Dan Ige, one punch, but he did the right thing. He took 2 years off. He's a great grappler, very technical striker, smart on the feet. And I think that's what's going to happen to Lopez in this fight. Now that, Gavin is going to be able to actually prepare for him, I don't see a way how Lopez can actually win, except maybe he can throw up, land a random submission, or even land a random strike. Lopez is dangerous a bit, but Gavin Tucker is just a better fighter here. And he will be able to, technically outclass him pretty much, in my opinion. That's pretty much how I see the fight going when I really think about it, to be honest. All right, so the next fight we got is Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Now, this fight, I was going back and forth about it, but I've come to the conclusion. I'm going to have to go with Kennedy Nzechukwu. Now, the reason why I'm going to have to go with Kennedy is because, he just seems to be the more dangerous fighter, right? In Dustin Jacoby's most recent fight, he showed some really extremely low fight IQ. Like, it's really alarming how many fighters I've seen recently that they just have like some really terrible fight IQ. Like, he was losing a fight versus Asmat Mirzakhanov, and what does he do? He tries to grapple when he had a fatigued Mirzakhanov in front of him. I'm referring to to Dustin Jacoby right now. He decided to grapple when it was obvious that he needed a finish. So when I see people do stupid stuff like that, and they're not really that dangerous, they're not really, that durable. I mean, Dustin got hit a ton. He got dropped a few times in his most recent fight, and with the guy that's dangerous like Kennedy, and he just has a really long reach advantage on him. He has the height advantage on him. I just feel like Kennedy's gonna be able to get this done, but it's still gonna be a low confident pick because that feeling I have is just kind of still there. But due to the fact of how low IQ Dustin Jacoby's fight IQ is, and how he just wasn't durable in his most recent fight. He got dropped multiple times. He really wasn't moving his head up the center line. And he really doesn't have anything else outside of the standing and striking. So, Kennedy can clinch you against the cage, get some strikes in there, opportunistic grappling. I'm going to go with Kennedy to win this fight. All right, so on to the co-main event. We got Tatiana Suarez versus Jessica Andrade, and I'm going to simply pick Tatiana Suarez to win this fight. Jessica Andrade, she really just relies on being very wild and just throwing strikes. Tatiana's just longer than her, taller than her, and as soon as she gets the grappling exchanges going, Jessica Andrade will lose this fight. The only chance that Andrade really has is to hopefully land some type of lucky punch or something. I just don't see how she's going to be able to stop the pressure of the wrestling coming from Suarez. So yeah, it's very simple. It's just really simply put as that. Suarez is safe on the feet for the most part. Grappling's very efficient. There's not really much that Suarez really has to worry about other than just the wildness of Andrade. You know what I'm saying? It is a woman's fight, so you never really know. But Suarez is undefeated. She has not lost a fight. She averages 6 takedowns per fight, so she's going to make sure that she shoots. And Tatiana Suarez to win the co-main event. All right, so for the main event, we got Corey Sandhagen versus Rob Font. Man, let me just say right away, I love both of these fighters, man. Both these guys are super entertaining to watch. The bantamweight division is in a crazy place right now, but this fight is at catch weight. Should be about 140 pounds, and the reason for that being is because Rob Font's actually stepping up on short notice. He's had a decent amount of time to prepare for this fight. Now I think it's been a couple of weeks. Obviously not a full training camp, but nonetheless, I would like to think that Rob Font is going to be in shape for this fight. And the thing about Corey Sandhagen, he literally does everything, right? Switches stances, pumps out the jab, has a nice whipping uppercut, good leg kicks. He's mixed in wrestling now, which has been interesting to see. I think we've really just only started to see him do that when he fought against Song Yadong. He mixed them in really well. He shot, but like he attempted like 14 of them. But in that fight, his goal really wasn't to get takedowns. It was just to really just throw it out there to kind of mix it up with Song Yadong. And he did the same thing to, you know, Chito Vera. But the thing about the fight with Chito Vera was he kind of just accepted being on his back. And I'm not saying that. I just don't think that Rafon's gonna do that, right? I think Rafon's gonna pump up the volume. And you know, to me, this fight is gonna be close. I feel like it's gonna go all 5 rounds, and I'm gonna pick Rafon. The people are probably gonna like, what the hell, bro? I know he's coming in on short notice, and it's Corey Sandhagen, and I don't know. I just feel like the volume of Rafon will be enough, and I just don't think that, you know, Corey Sandhagen's wrestling is gonna be threatening enough to really do much to Rob Font. I don't think that Corey Sandhagen is gonna really be able to shoot on Rob Font and hold him there. I think that both of them being at 140 is gonna make the fight you know, a lot different than most people really think. So I can definitely see Rob Font being able to just put the volume out there with his boxing and really get the win in this fight. Am I extremely confident on it? No. I mean, you guys see the odds on Rob Font right now. Rob Font is like a plus 275. Let me double check it real quick. He's like, yeah, he opened at plus 170. Now he's plus 275. So people are putting money on Corey Sandhagen. You know, he started at minus 200. Now he's at minus 325. So that's a line movement for you guys on that. But in terms of the fight itself, I think this is going to be a crazy fight. Yeah, like I said before, I enjoy watching both of these guys, but I'm going to have to pick Rob Font to win this fight. So that is going to do it for the video, guys. Make sure you guys drop a like, comment, subscribe. Also, guys, if you guys want to see my bets for UFC Nashville, just let me know. Just let me know, and I'll drop a quick video for you guys showing you guys my UFC Nashville bets. And I'll also drop it in the community post. So if you guys want to see all of that, just be sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, guys, and make sure you guys hit the notification bell so whenever I upload, you guys will be notified, man. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.